All right. Let's turn this, get a little more light on me. Good afternoon, everybody. My apologies for being late. I was supporting Brother Phil and Sister Natalie during their, or at least Brother Phil anyway. I was supporting Brother Phil on his members only live. So a welcome, Truth Tarot Readings. How are you? Phil just ended his members only, so that's where I was every Wednesday. Phil's channel has a members only, and so I go over there and support his growth, and we chat, etc. It was a fascinating members live. So anyways, welcome. I have no doubt that Chris will be right behind us shortly. So let's get right into this. Most paranormal investigations accidentally escalate activity. Investigators accidentally sometimes could be provoking their own hauntings. So let's get started, guys. Welcome to Paranormal Witchcraft 1 p.m. live stream, where every day we engage and we talk about something different, bringing the ethics back to the paranormal investigation scene. I am Tobias Josephson, the CEO, and our Chief Financial Officer, Fonda, is actually bathing right now. You might be able to hear her a little bit in the background with the tub going. With that being said, welcome on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Most paranormal investigators believe they're actually collecting evidence. But many investigators are actually making the activity worse. Today we're going to discuss and talk about how investigators accidentally sometimes escalate paranormal investigations or hauntings. Quick question for everyone here just tuning in. Have you ever seen paranormal activity increase during an investigation? Type in the chat below, yes, you have seen activity increased. Type in the chat, no, if you did not see activity increase. I will call your answers out aloud. Welcome once again, Truth Tarot Readings and Christopher Stant 9899. Beautiful. Chris says yes, he has. Truth Tarot Readings also says yes, they've seen it. Beautiful. Let's move on. There's a question investigators ask that seems completely innocent. But experienced investigators start paying close attention when they hear it asked. What do you think that question is? I'll let you guys try to guess in the comments below. I'll call them out. The question is simple. Can you show yourself? It sounds innocent, yes, but stay with me here. It immediately changes the dynamic of the environment and the investigation immediately. Have you ever heard investigators say that during ghost hunts? Yes, no. Have you ever heard investigators say that during ghost hunts? Comment yes in the comments below if you have. Comment no in the comments below if you have not. I'll give you an example of something where I'm going to say yes, but it wasn't a question, it was an action. So we were doing a seance, okay? So I was sitting next to the facilitator. The board was next to me. There was about 8 to 10 of us around a large table, okay? We had our hands joined, etc. And as I noticed, there was a question asked very similarly like that, and I paid attention. The facilitator's first question was, can you show yourself to the fine folks here today. And I went, stayed quiet. All right. But that's how it ties into this question here that I asked you guys. Have you ever heard an investigator or anybody facilitating say something like that? You both answered yes. Okay. So that's not even me provoking a response. That is other people in the room saying they've seen it. You see how that works? We're not here to challenge anyone else's paradigm, and we're certainly not here to challenge the way anyone else does their investigations. You investigate any way you want to. There's a major difference between presence and provocation in an investigation. Presence, like we're there, our presence, we're there to observe. Provocation is you're demanding observation in a way, you're demanding response so you can observe. Which approach do you think investigators use more? And I'll give you some examples below. Type presence, Presence, or provocation, Provocation, if you're unsure how to spell them, in the comments below. Which approach do you think investigators should use more? We'll up the ante a little bit. Presence, thank you, Chris. I would happen to agree. Now, if you choose to use provocation, that is completely up to you. We're not here to debate this with anybody. We're just here to discuss it. By the way, if you like anything you hear, if you've learned anything with this channel, please consider sharing us with your friends on social media or YouTube, your family, anyone like-minded. We would really appreciate that. Even a simple thumbs up will help our growth. Now, of course, you do not have to if you do not want to, okay? I find there's about 50% of the collective out there. 50% will at least give you a thumbs up, which will help the algorithm nonetheless. 50% will do absolutely nothing. And so I've just learned to teach myself not to expect anything from anyone or any place. That way, I don't ever get my hopes let down. It's not an easy thing to teach yourself, but that's for another podcast and another day. Okay, so many investigators report activity intensifying when investigators push harder. Examples of such things, or examples to be given, are loud noises, different devices reacting, equipment reacting or malfunctioning, emotional tension between the clients or the team. Another important question to ask you guys and keep this rolling. Have you ever felt the atmosphere in a room change during an investigation? I have. Right here. I think we all have. Trying to make it a little fun here, guys. It doesn't have to be all serious, all right, business attire and proper all the fucking time. Okay? I want you guys to know that as serious as we are, we also, on the flip side of that, like to let loose and have fun with you all at the same time. Okay? But when our boots hit the location on ground and we're with people, it's all balls to the walls and all business, okay? But as far as the live streams and stuff, this is our attempt to show you guys we are fun-loving, we're carefree, all right? And we are here in love and light. And so we want you guys to have fun with our live streams. So I'm going to ask the viewers again, have you ever felt the atmosphere in a location or in a specific room during an investigation change? Yes and yes. Exhausted here, okay? And yes again. Thanks to the both of you. So, investigation experiences. Let's use the Gatsby hunt from last weekend, from a couple days ago. All right. So we left here at Thursday. I'm sorry, on Thursday at, I think it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. We had a little bit of a rough start. It happens. Everyone doesn't talk about it in their professional live streams, but we will. Getting to the events is part of the fucking journey sometimes because, you're making sure you haven't forgot everything and you're getting last minute details, etc. And so the trip there was the fun part. All right. And so we left at 8 o'clock in the morning and we stopped off, I think, as you guys saw, at a couple places here and there. So it wasn't until we got there at 10 p.m. after being completely exhausted, getting only a few hours sleep, that's where I started to really get excited. And I was like, well, Matt and the team are only about 45 minutes away. So let's do this. And Fonda's like, well, it's 10 o'clock. And I go, I know, but we got to get this meeting done. And so I hop in the car 15 minutes later and boom, within an hour, I'm shaking hands with Robert and shaking hands with uh, Matt. And I think I got there at around 11 and I didn't leave till 5 a.m. All right. So obviously we were getting excited. Obviously we had repeating questions for one another. We got to get a feel for each other's backgrounds, where we came from, etc., etc. The group energy, we were feeling around for that. And then obviously, as you see during the videos we shared on social media, we got along fantastically. This is the team that we've been looking for a very long time. This was actually supposed to be the team that we thought we were working with some years back on social media, and it was a flop for whatever reason. So that moment can shift the environment. If you have a good team, all right, that makes your investigations validated. It makes them credible, but it also does another thing. One, it keeps each of you safe because you rely on one another to watch the others back. Make sure you're not slipping, all right, in character, making sure you're not going to old behaviors, making sure, if you're not feeling well, that you are good enough to go on and participate, etc. So all these things coalesce together when you start working on the ethics and bringing in responsibility to investigations. It's nice to have the escalation. It's nice to have all that exciting, emotional, adrenaline spiking data. But to get there, there's a little bit of footwork to do. And it's a little slower, it's a little less flashy. All right. But in the end, you'll get the same footage and the same data everyone else is getting. Okay. Another question I want to ask you guys here, and bear with us. All right. I know that for some of you, it's hard to hold your attention span, so please bear with us. Do you guys think investigators sometimes chase reactions instead of evidence? Be honest. Yes or no in the comments below, please, and thank you. Yes or no, Chris or Truth Tarot? Yes? Okay. I don't have my glasses on, but I can read yes from here. Good. Now, if you guys don't know what this is actually meant to be a trench coat. This is Timu's version of a trench coat. It kind of reminds me almost like what Buddhists and religious folk wear. Kind of. Because the way I can wear it, I guess, it can go from long sleeves when I get chilly and it gives it a more formal statement piece if I wear it that way, or I can roll my sleeves up and get dirty with you guys in investigations and shit like that. And so, if you've noticed, my personality is very unique, very strange. I call it one of the most unique personalities on the planet, but I might be biased because I'm stuck with myself. But I don't just see a cell phone, I see multiple uses. All right, I don't just see a coffee mug. It can be used as a container. It can be used to hold something up. It's not just used for drinking. So my brain doesn't just see the world, all right, as most people do. I see expansion in everything. I'm just a little odd. I'm probably certifiably fucking insane, but nobody's locked me up in a padded cell yet. And I seem to make people happy. So I just keep doing it every day, and I do what I do, and I help people like Chris, and I help other people in my private life that I don't talk about in service structure. And that is what makes my heart beat, and that's what I get out of bed for every day is this educations and these services I do here mean a whole hell of a lot to us as a business, but especially to me because I get to interact with the human race. And I think what I'm doing right now is living my happiest, best life. And I appreciate everybody around me who continues to help support and continues to help manifest our dreams into the real world. So, blessings and blessed be, my friends. Have you ever felt the atmosphere in a room change during an investigation? Yes or no? We all have. When you first meet your teams, there's a lot of excitement. You get that energy going. And I think what happens is a lot of times we don't think about our personal energies affecting the investigations as a whole. Okay. And so what I'm saying is, I don't think other teams realize that their personal dynamic energies together may be triggering some false escalation data points. That's all. So, do you guys think investigators sometimes chase reactions instead of evidence? Yes or no? We all said yes. Here's some investigator psychology for y'all. Investigators like myself, we want results, but we look at it from a skeptical standpoint, obviously, because that's the way it works. Okay. You have to look at every man made type of data point first before you can say it is supernatural or has no explanation. And right now, all over social media world, you're seeing escalation, you're seeing thumbnails that drive fear and spike adrenaline. All right. But what they're not showing you is the downtime. What they're not showing you is the responsibility. And what they're not showing you is the ethical part of investigations. That's not saying what they're doing is wrong. We're just saying that we think more people need to know about the ethics and responsibility if they're going to go after the escalation narratives. Okay. That way, at least you have some tools to be responsible and safe about it. Investigators want results. Viewers expect reactions, and that's where the problems come in. Your viewers, the people that pay you money to go hunting with you, they expect reactions, they expect results, so the pressure builds. And what does that do? That might make some people act out of character, all right, and they might not even realize it. This influences the investigation, it influences other people in the room, all right, and now you have an unstable environment, and escalation will ensue. If you are investigating tonight, would you push for reactions? Type push if you would, or observe if you would do what I would do and just sit back and let it go organically. So type in the comments below push if you would try to drive a response, or observe if you would calmly sit and wait. You would push, okay? There's no right or wrong answers. The point is that you engage with us. So thank you, Chris. I think by observing, it's a form of a silent push. That's how I look at it because I know the spirits can see me. I may not be a medium where I can see them, but I'm psychic. I know there's something here, right? But for the most part, I do use the observe. Responsible investigation requires discipline, and that's most likely probably the number one reason why most new investigators go around it because that's boring. That doesn't drive the algorithm. It doesn't make them any money. It doesn't get them any attention, right? And so I can understand that. But we still have a responsibility to be responsible with our clients that are paying us money to investigate with us or seeking our services for something, do we not? I think we can all at least agree there. We may agree to disagree on every other term, but at least as professionals, we could agree there. Responsible investigation requires discipline. Okay. You don't want things to get out of control. You want to keep the authority. All right. You don't want to give the spirits the upper hand. You don't want to let the energy get out of control. Excitement can distort perception, but let's clarify, or in other words, elaborate. That is the whole point of going ghost hunting, is it not? The excitement. All right. It's like going to watch the movie Saw. You're going to watch the movie Saw because you literally want to be mortified. There's something about watching that that gets you off in a certain way. Okay. And it just lights your fire. Okay. For me, those are my type of movies, but Saw is almost a borderline, even for someone like me. I get no pleasure off of seeing people rip their body parts off of them to survive. That is sadistic, and that is something I don't find to be considered entertainment. Okay. It is borderline. I'm not going to say those directors don't have the right to portray that. Just as the audience member, that's where I draw my line. Okay. Does that help people understand it? So, yes, I would like to see the shadow figures, and I would like to see the demons appear, and I would like to catch the apparitions on the stairways and stuff, right? But I don't want to do it in a way that's dangerous, all right? That's going to harm you guys if you're with us, or if you're with Matt and Blue Mountain Paranormal and team, right? We want to make sure you go home safely. We want to make sure nothing follows you home. We don't want to do any added extra work after the investigation, okay? Does that make better sense here? All right. Type yes in the comments below if you're starting to understand paranormal witchcraft's business model now. Or no if you're still a little confused, and I'll try harder. I'll perfect it until my heart explodes, my loves. Okay? Because I really believe that I can get through to almost anybody if I just have enough time to feel their energy and get to know them and talk to them face to face. I guarantee you I can help you in some way. May not be much, but I can help you. Okay. And I have 30 years of retail management experience to thank for that. A lot of people think those are thankless skills. You're never going to find a way to use them in real life. Wrong. Think about it. You leave the grocery store and go home, and what do? All right. You're bumping into people still for the rest of your life. All right. You just have to do it for a job. So it makes it almost like a new level of fresh hell. And so for 30 years, you find a way to survive in the retail purgatory of your job. You make it fun, you make it engaging, you switch it up, have competitions with your teammates, etc. You go for career challenges. You get the idea. I think the same environment happens in the paranormal communities, right? I would agree as well. Thank you, Chris, for driving it. I'm thinking about adding tarot. All right, and we'll see. I'm going to do two more. I'm going to do one tonight at 11:15 and another one tomorrow night at 11:15. If I have more than 5, all right, reactions of any of those vids, I will include them as part of the routine for the channel. Okay. The 1 p.m. is for paranormal witchcraft, and 10 p.m. might be as well going forward. All right. Until I can straighten out my home group, I think it's best I put them on the side table for now. There is a lot of things that need serious attention in there when it comes to getting the engagement and restructuring solidified. Okay. And so I'm currently debating with myself inside my head what I'm going to do tonight. I'm pretty sure it's going to just stay focused on paranormal witchcraft. Because I too, if you remember, Chris, was asked to make a choice in early January. And it was going to be a choice that was going to pain me. It was going to be a choice I was going to push back against. And I finally made that choice this morning. I have to let the Brotherhood sit on the side for the moment, all right, while I restructure them. All right. Now that we have foundation here, all right, I think we're just going to run with the channel. And Brotherhood will just remain a Facebook group. All right. And that way it satisfies all parties, and I don't have to worry about any further pushback or debating, or you get the idea there. So thank you for energetically helping me solidify that choice. I've been losing sleep over it the past couple weeks because that is my own group, and as much as I love it, it needs a little bit of TLC, and that's not something that putting it on screen is going to help right now, if that makes any sense. It needs to be taken care of behind the scenes. All right. There's some talks that have to be had, etc., etc. All right. And it's not for the public view. So let's continue here. Do you think excitement can affect what investigators believe they're seeing? Responsible investigation requires discipline. Excitement distorts perception in an investigation. Do you think that excitement can affect what the investigator believes they're seeing? Yes. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for that. So here's a containment over chaos discussion. Containment over chaos. Containment is controlled investigations environment, controlled hauntings environment. That is what I mean when we're trying this workshop out, is containment over chaos, or otherwise trying to be like Baggins, where every thumbnail you make is fear driven. That is called chaos. And the reason that person makes so much money, okay, is because it gets uncontrolled emotional reactions from people. That fear, that adrenaline spike. It's that simple. Okay? Which produces better evidence? Containment or chaos? Containment or chaos? Type your comments down below. I'll call them out. Chris says containment. Thank you, Truth or Dare, for saying yes to the previous question. Beautiful. Containment. You can't get any of those results they get on TV without using some form of structure or processes that are controlled and are being responsibly done in the background. It's just most people in the public don't know it. They just think, who knows what they think, but that's just not the truth. And this containment is trying to get people to understand the importance of your documentation and how you do it, your review and how you do it with your teammates. It's meant to teach and educate more patience and less impatience. Have you ever reviewed paranormal footage with your friends or of your own and noticed something you missed during the investigation that you didn't catch in the moment? Yes or no? Chris immediately says yes. Chris, do you want to give us a few words about the experience you had to attach to that immediate yes? Tell a short investigation experience or example in the comments below, Chris, to elaborate, and that way the other viewers can follow along with you. That was a great answer. Thank you. So the question was, if you're just tuning in, have you ever reviewed paranormal footage and noticed something you missed during the investigation? Yes, I have. Yes, friends I know have. Everybody has. Okay. If that hadn't happened to any of us, we wouldn't have learned a damn thing. Okay. So don't feel bad here. All right. If you answer yes to any of the questions, remember, we're not here to debate. We're not here to look down on anybody, and we don't use contemptuous behavior with anybody. Everybody is welcome on this channel. Stories help us bond with each other. Stories help cement our questioning and our discussion this afternoon. So thank you so much, Chris. If you want to share a few sentences in a commentary in the chat there, feel free, brother. That's the exact type of shit we're looking for. Like, where were you? Like, I'll give you an example that YouTube might accept here. Give the state what type of investigation, and then what it was that caused that answer of yes. So try to keep it like 3 or 4 sentences or a couple responses from where you are. And then that way the other people watching can engage with you in the comments. Feel free, everybody. That is what we're looking for here. We want to get a real discussion going, not only because you're listening, but I want to see a discussion right there in the chat. I want to see ding, 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 ding. All right. And I'll keep working on these podcasts to engage, to engage, to engage, to engage. All right. That's the whole point is we're learning, we're sharing together. It's beautiful. Okay. And that is the shit we do this stuff for. Put your horns down and let's go. All right. So thank you. Sorry, I got a little excited there. Let's pause and re-stabilize. I'll even do a breath work exercise. 5 seconds in. All right. Paused. Restabilized. Do you prefer watching calm investigations? Or do you prefer watching intense ones like the ones on TV? Type calm in the comments down below if you like the calm ones. Type intense in the comments down below if you like the intense ones like everybody's chasing on TV. The ones I personally like are the ones like Paranormal caught on camera, because I get to make up my own decision on what I'm seeing. I don't have to look at a thumbnail and know what's immediately going to happen, all right, with that episode. Isn't it about boring by now that everybody is using fear to the absolute extreme over there in their thumbnails? I think so. But that's not, for me to judge. I just disagree with it. Because for them, it's working, and for them, that's their thing, right? So I have no right to step on their toes. I may disagree, like I just stated, but I still wish them all the best, okay? That just type of behavior doesn't work for me because I can't fake anything I do. And so I'm not going to pretend in my practice. I'm not going to pretend in our investigations, right? And we happen to realize that there was a big, wide open space on YouTube where no creators were talking about these issues. And so I decided to get up here and talk about it. The intense ones are provoked. Of course they are, because they're looking for that chaotic evidence. Because that gentleman on TV who just thinks his ego cannot be broken down and he thinks that he's really going to be an investigator the rest of his life, for all we know, he probably will somehow, even though he has a lot of haters, all right? You'd be surprised, all right? They get their hands in all kinds of cookie jars, all right? So maybe just show those people a little more love going forward, okay? That's probably the proper response. They get plenty of hate mail from immature people every day, okay? So leave them where they are, okay? So here's another discussion point. Should paranormal investigation prioritize evidence, or should it prioritize reactions? Comment down below. Should paranormal investigations prioritize evidence, or should your paranormal investigations prioritize reactions, escalations, instability, chaos, disinformations, false data points, explosive narratives right off the bat? Thank you. Hi, Nikki. How are you? Lunch break, or are you off work already? Blessings. Hope you're feeling better. Fonda's not feeling well today. So we're making sure she doesn't have anything that's been going around out there. We protect her ourselves, etc. But you never know. And so I think she's okay. It's just, it could be food related even with her. Nice to see you working. It's a good thing about being your own boss. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Should paranormal investigation prioritize evidence or prioritize reactions? Well, most people around us will say, man, it's got to be the reactions because how are you supposed to grow, Tobias? You're a knucklehead because you're on a 5-year plan. Why don't you want to just go escalation and balls to the walls now? Well, why? Everyone else is doing that. Why do I want to jump into a mosh pit? I don't feel the need to do that. That's just my personal opinion on all that stuff. Everyone's using bells and whistles, bells and whistles, bells and whistles, bells and whistles. They're not letting anyone see them as lead investigators. It's always about the location, the location. I think it's important you get to know the investigators, the investigators, the investigators. Kind of goes hand in hand. You got to get to know us eventually, anyways. We're going to shake your hand when we step on your property. So we just think it would be nice for people to see that we are responsible. All right. We are ethical to begin with. All right. And that, yeah, we'd love to have episodes like everyone's watching on TV, but we want to do it from a practical, sensible, logical standpoint. We will get there. Have no doubt. Karma. All right. Karma and manifestation, the laws of attraction, you name it. Most of us prefer watching calm. Thank you. Paranormal investigation is not about chaos. Paranormal investigation is not about instability. Paranormal investigation is not about showing your immaturity. Paranormal investigation is not about showing disinformation and calling it evidence. All right. It's about understanding. It's about observing. It's about analyzing. It's about researching. It's about asking the right questions. And it's mostly about coming from the most important place you can. Correct. And from a place of respect. Too many people treat paranormal investigating and hauntings investigating like it's a hobby. And understanding, sadly, requires time, it requires discipline. Containment must come before our confrontation on location in our paranormal investigations. I'll repeat that slower in a second. Containment must come before contamination ever has a chance to get a hold of us. So, closing tonight, I'm going to pose another question with you guys. Have you ever seen activity escalate during an investigation you were facilitating or you were joining or you paid to attend? Tell us in the comments below in a few words. I would love to call them out and talk about them for the next few minutes. Thank you for tuning in to yet another live stream. This is our Paranormal Witchcraft LLC, all right, binder. I have a couple things in here I'm going to pull out this afternoon. While I'm waiting for your comments, take your time. I'll roll up my sleeves for this one. And I'm probably going to change angles so you guys can see a little better. That's going to make it worse, isn't it? All right. I want more light. There we go. Hi. How are we? You guys ready? Comment yes down below if you're ready. All right. Paranormal Witchcraft LLC is a 501c educational services business. By the way, we're a 501c hybrid. And my goal is to give way more than we take in our industry. Earlier today on Facebook, I made a very public post for the Chicagoland area. My goal is to set up meeting points in the Gurnee area. Makes it easily accessible for people coming from Chicago to meet us. There is a Starbucks near a mall in Gurnee, which would be a perfect public place for meetups for anybody who's paranoid out there, and that's why I chose it. And it's close to the highway. You get back home within 45 minutes, give or take. All right? Anyways, so feel free to go over to social media world if it's up and running today. I believe it is. Yesterday, I believe it failed everybody briefly for about 3 hours. I expected it. I've actually been telling a lot of my friends in private DMs it's coming. Tried to tell everybody, Chris and others, tried to tell y'all, wasn't just me. Okay? I know I'm newly psychic, and I know I haven't had time to harness down and button down and control my powers to the utmost, but I sense that coming. The AI temptation is just too much for them to give up their plans. They're dragging themselves through the mud because they must be close to getting the plans finished, the generation plans. We'll see. I don't know. But anyways, I've made a public post. I will attempt to rejoin Paranormal Chicago later today. I will attempt to repair my friendship with my buddy, and we'll go from there. The goal is that I want to find small teams like Chris Stantz and other small teams. I don't want large teams of paranormal investigators. I want small teams, 2, 3, 4, 5 members tops, smaller teams. What we would like to do is work on getting another working relationship or two going by the end of the year. Okay, I need to say this on camera right now, is I don't need thousands. I don't need even hundreds. I need a few. But the best way to get an advertisement out there is the word of mouth. All right. I refuse to pay for ads. I'm sorry. The world's on fire right now, literally. I'm not going to pay for ads. So, all right. So feel free to fan the flames over there. Chris, watch the tagging. Okay. The tagging is what's going to get everybody restricted repeatedly, even using names. So be careful using my name. But anyways, just be careful over there. All right. And I have no doubt these two are in cohorts right now. So keep your peepers open, my friends. Paranormal Witchcraft LLC has an educational initiative, and that's where this containment over chaos protocol came from. This here before me is our ethics in paranormal official declaration and containment standards doctrine. What I'm doing is trying to educate, teaching regulation, authority, ethics, and proper closure in paranormal investigations. This is a field manual I'm going to show you next that I'm going to be utilizing throughout the rest of the year. All right. The reason we've come to YouTube is because we're tired of being looked at as just another social media content creator. And because we bought a business and we are now a business, now we have to look like a business. Now we have to act like a business. So now you see why we are doing live streams. Now you see why we're working on setting up podcasting slowly here, etc. Now you see why I'm making friends with people who know a lot more than I do. When you want to become good at something, you look for people who know what they're doing. You get around people who are doing it the right ways. All right. And Phil and Natalie and those teams are doing it the right way. All right. They're doing it from a place of respect, and they're doing it from a place of love, and they're doing it from a place of service. All right. And I stand behind those channels as well. So blessings to our friends out there. I told everybody who followed us it will be an abundant and prosperous year. For anybody who followed us as a team member, as a warrior witch army supporter, or as a mentor, or even a team member, business affiliate, or other. Paranormal Witchcraft LLC Containment Field Manual is for structured authority systems for paranormal environments. Again, also centered around regulation, authority, ethics, and structured closings. Our philosophy of containment is simple. Containment is the disciplined management of paranormal investigation, perception, projection, and posture within high stimulus environments. Containment replaces reaction with self emotional regulation and spectacle with structure. Authority is demonstrated through calm, not dominance. The 5 laws of containment are as follows: regulation before investigation. Number 2, authority without provocation. Number 3, projection awareness. Number 4, environmental neutrality. And number 5, structured closure. Our escalation loop theory. Escalation occurs in any investigation or in any environment when emotional dysregulation interacts with environmental ambiguity. The loop forms as follows: dysregulation, heightened suggestion, emotional amplification, misattribution, reinforced fear. Breaking the loop requires conscious regulation. Pause, restabilize. Pause, restabilize. Pause, restabilize. Center yourself. Pre-entry protocol for us is as follows. Before entering any environment, we will conduct nervous system environmental assessments, establish clear time boundaries, remove ego based challenges, agree on structured exit protocols. Entry is calm, entry is neutral. See where that's going? Active field conduct if something's happening. During any investigation or research, we will maintain lower voice tone. We will avoid any identity assignment. We will document without dramatization. We will avoid speculative reinforcement, and containment requires neutrality. Section 4, projection and psychological literacy. All investigators must evaluate internal variables before external attribution. Trauma, grief, suggestion, expectation, bias frequently explain perceived escalations everywhere around us. Just look to social media. Containment protects both investigator and work. Containment protects both and client. Client ethics. All right. So if you're doing service, you're making a house call, somebody has a spiritual service need. They've under spiritual attack, something followed them home. Son of a bitch. What do? Well, here's a suggestion. Client stabilization precedes interpretation. 1, make sure they're okay. 2, do a background check. 3, all right, location history. Never reinforce fear narratives, all right, when you're working with a client. And refer to licensed professionals when mental health indicators are present. What does that statement mean, Tobias? Well, that's not attacking anybody. Hold on now. Okay. I too have BPD very clearly stated. Okay. So I very clearly keep that in the back of my head when I go to a hunt. I make sure I'm doing hardcore energy work before I enter the premises. All right. This is if we suspect there's somebody who just did some FAFO, fuck around, find out. Okay. They didn't believe the masses. Don't do that. Don't play with the seance. Don't do a seance on your own if you don't know how to do it. Don't play with a Ouija board if you've never used one. Oh, F you. I'm going to do it anyway. All right. And so that would, all right, very clearly make us go, well, is there an addiction history? Is there an authority problem where they don't listen to advice? All right. Or, is there schizophrenic tendencies coming out in the wordage while they're explaining? All right. And so this isn't going to be like, we're going to be like, hey, whoa, we're not going to put our hand on their shoulder and be like, all right, that's all we needed. Thank you. We're not going to do that. We're just going to quietly continue the background check, the first interview, the first meeting. All right. And the stabilization is to keep them calm. All right. And you never act condescending to a client. All right. Even if they've done it to themselves, you don't do that. Okay. Don't reinforce fear narratives. And just keep in mind that you have to be gentle sometimes. Okay. That probably is a better way to say that. You need to be gentle with people. And I stand behind that decision. Be gentle with everybody. All right. Structured closure. I thought I would share a little bit about this since it's been probably about a month since I brought it up. Yes, ma'am. Boy, tempting a boy. No. I'm guessing my spook didn't want to come in. So, all sessions, all right, whether investigations or an interview or a service, you're helping somebody out, should conclude with intentional withdrawal of attention. Okay. So debrief people calmly, etc. Avoid anything dramatizing. All right. Don't do anything that's escalating. Don't do anything that's going to be unstable while you're closing things down and closing shop up for whatever event you're doing. Containment extends beyond the field. All right. So beyond the place, all right, is what that means. So standards overview. Foundational, practitioner, field authority, recognition, requires ethical alignment and demonstrated regulation. In other words, what we were saying in the live, containment requires discipline. Containment is not suppression. Containment is mastery. Authority is calm. Ethics precede evidence. All right, my friends. Let me see what this is because I tucked this in there too. Not important. All right. So there you go. we're going to leave you guys here for the afternoon. And look at that, I made it within an hour. So thank you to every single one of you. There's 4, it said, that are present. That's probably more than we've had in a few weeks. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the 1 like. I'll take it. That's better than 0. Blessings and blessed be everybody out there. I will stop and take some commentary here. We got about 4 minutes. That your boss, unfortunately. Well, thank you for sharing that story. Feeling good? Thank you. Well, I'm glad, Nikki. There's a few friends we have that are going through it even right now. It's really rough. Research before hunts is important, yes. I can go to Gurney. You know where Gurney is? Okay. Well, good. I will talk to my friend over there and we'll see if they let me back in. I left them on my own accord because remember, I lost a very large, a, a very large. We agreed to disagree loudly over the summer over there in the paraprofessional community on Facebook, and so I appreciate those people, and I appreciate my friend who he got mad at me for a misunderstanding. I was losing friends and cutting things off, and he was one of the collateral damage I didn't see get caught. All right, I was like getting rid of friends and pages and groups during all that because after all those people walking away, etc. And in my hurriedness on my mobile device, a few friends got caught and cut off from being friends, and then there was a misunderstanding, and so I just kind of went away for a couple months, and so it seems like it might be okay, and so I'll approach him today and see how he's feeling. But the idea is I would like to have some local paranormal meetup teams closer to my house. I live in Rock Falls, Illinois, so I'm close to Chicago, I'm close to Iowa, I'm close to Milwaukee, okay? I'm not very far away. I'm kind of like in the center of the Midwest. So if you guys are in the Midwest, I'm looking to save some gas. All right. It's not that I'm not excited to work with Matt and his team. I am. And for this year, that's how we do it. The gas and shit don't matter to me. But for the years going forward, Matt wants to come this way, and I want to help make Matt's dreams a reality. All right. And I too would like to hunt closer to home eventually. So for this year, I am completely stoked and happy to be driving across the country. That's okay. That is how you get shit done. All right. It's just sad that it didn't happen 3 years ago. All right. Because that's what was supposed to happen 3 years ago with that other team we were working with. And that's where the fallout started. Okay. Because of who I am, because of my path. All right. I look different. I'm not like everybody else that does paranormal investigations. All right. That causes problems for us. Okay. I'm a witch. All right. Most of the paranormal community will tell you they have no problem with us. But the truth is, they're not telling you the entire truth. All right. They will act a certain way around me that's very clearly a problem. All right. And I just let it go because, it could just be blissful ignorance on their part. I don't know. But, anyways, so I lost my point, guys. So, thank you for tuning in. Chris is 5 hours away. I know. I might be going to Madison in May to see Flying Chariots, The Rise. Make sure you check out his channel here. He's a YouTube podcaster, Dustin Shweta. He interviewed me 2 months ago. Obviously, go check out Natalie, Goldfish Paranormal. Check out Mr. Phil. All right, Dogman TP Hunting and Friday Night Lights. All right, go check out Matt, Blue Mountain Paranormal. Go check out Paranormal Witchcraft. Go check out Paranormal Chicago and go check out my buddy Jack Chavez. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and fucking plug him. All right. I like him too much. I'm sorry he got mad at me, but I like him too much. I'm going to plug him anyways. All right. I'm sorry we disagreed, my little friend. I love you. And I'm sorry you guys got upset at me over there. But it's nice to have you back on my friends list. I have missed you. If I'm being completely honest. And so that being said, I'm going to get off here and make sure my wife is doing okay. I might pop into Facebook briefly if you guys want and say hi over there. All right. And don't forget, I'm officially stating it here that 1 p.m. and 10 p.m. will now officially be dedicated for the rest of the year at least. And that is the near future, dedicated to Paranormal Witchcraft LLC. I have a lot of work to do with my witches. I have a lot of work to do with my home group. I have to go through the membership, every single one of them myself, in my free time, and make sure everything's on the up and up. Make sure I don't have anybody in there that's going to be trying to cause any problems. All right, you get the idea. All right, because remember, that is what I'm most known for. All right, and so now you can kind of understand why me breaking into professional paranormal investigating would ruffle some feathers. All right, but remember, we are all unique, we are all authentic. All right, especially people like me. So please don't let anybody else bully you. If you need help on social media with the bullying, just ask our friends Holly and others at Paranormal Witchcraft. That is one of my specialties over there. Okay. I will make sure that they leave you alone. All right. By working behind the scenes. All right. I'll give you some tips. All right. If you need help with that, I'll tell you some things you can do for those egos, those bullies over there that think they're going to make fun of people or, you know, call attention to themselves while they're stepping on people's faces. So, that being said, have yourselves a beautiful afternoon. We will see you tonight at 10 p.m. I haven't the foggiest idea what we will be talking about, but it will be investigation related. It might even be spicier than today's topic. I am looking for topics that most people are afraid to talk about. That is something I'm known for. I actually do it in my personal life. I will say something to somebody if I know that it'll get a reaction out of them, because what I do after that is I lean into them, I bond with them, I'll become friends with them. And what happens 9 times out of 10 is people realize that I'm not such a bad guy. I'm not such a bad person. That the label they thought I was isn't true, etc. And so it just takes time for some people to understand that you're different than everybody else. And I just don't feel the need to open my mouth anymore on social media. All right. So, my friends, have yourselves a good afternoon. Go out there, enjoy the weather if you can. I don't think many of you can on the East Coast. I think you're experiencing a lot of, like what I am, cloudy, gray, kind of but nonetheless, enjoy your day. Be the best person you can be. Make sure you let somebody know next to you that you care about them. And as far as what's going on with the world, remember, everything changes. All right? We're going to be okay, planet Earth. We're going to be okay. Hang in there, my friends. Hang in there, my badasses. Hang in there, my lovelies. Welcome to the jungle. That is Paranormal Witchcraft LLC. Blessings and blessed be. I wish you all the best, and I love each and every one of you for tuning in.